I'm Michelle Week. I use she, her pronouns, and I'm the steward of Hasquiyet, Good Rain Farm in my native language. I'm Arrow Lakes by way of Colville Confederate Tribes, or Lakes. So my indigenous ancestors are from north central Washington, and the border of Canada and Washington there is where the lakes themselves are, and they are part of the Headwaters system to the Columbia River.
Mirabai, Black Futures Farm, co-founder, director, and black folks.
Yeah, black people.
Oh, black people.
Malcolm, co-founder, board member. Black Futures Farm, co-founder of Black Futures Farm. And I am here for the black people and everybody else who needs justice.
So at the farm, not just vegetables, but we focus on like whole diet and whole ecosystem approach, what you would like more classically call agroecology. For me, it's just blending into the ecosystem as best we can and balancing everyone's needs and wants and wishes.
We are a community-centered farm. We're a Black-centered, Black-led farm. We're an urban farm right in Southeast Portland. We grow vegetables, fruits, herbs, along with some clean energy projects and climate resilience practices. And we have been low-till, no-till ever since. We've only broken ground once with the tiller, so we were going on 7 years here, so we haven't tilled since then. We don't use pesticides or chemicals. Yeah, we donate to food pantries and we work with community partners to get folks food.
For me as an Indigenous woman and farmer, soil health is the foundation of what we do on the farm. We are like soil ecosystem farmers. You talk to ranchers and they'll talk about being grass farmers first before cattle or sheep or whatever they're grazing. And that's the same for us with our vegetables. Like we need to take care of our soil to get good, rich, nutritious food growing out of them.
It's really hard to do small-scale agriculture and be profitable. So it's hard to make a living on a small farm. And if you do, then you have to farm really intensively. And a lot of those methods are not necessarily friendly to the earth, you know, or negative impact or positive impact. And so we, who have, you know, much lower commercial pressure, we don't have to sell this produce to operate our farm. We're able to take a much more regenerative approach towards what we do here. So some of our work is regenerative, some of it is just maintenance, and some of it is sustainable, where we're trying to like, how can we just not screw this up? How can we not do any damage, you know, to this land? Yeah, we like to say we grow food and community here.
Yeah.
Like I always think about that, how close we are to this river, how close like somewhere along here, close to the ocean, is technically whereby people were created out of like the earth and rain. So like these common threads among Indigenous people about like Mini Wachoni, right? Water is life. And you see this in like a lot of other cultures and religions of like people are made of clay or of soil of this earth. So tending this land, caring for the soil is so important because it's part of us.
So I feel like soil health, for me, not even as a black farmer, because that has less to do with it in this way directly, but like whatever I put in there, I want it to grow and be healthy. I want the soil to have a lot of life and loft. You know, I want really healthy, bioactive soil with all the nice little creepy crawlies in there, and the, you know, like I want a really good mineral balance. I want the soil to be healthy, whether I'm harvesting from it or not, right?
Yeah. Healthy soil, healthy people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Water filtration helps with allowing us to assess the water holding capacity of the soil. As we build organic matter on that soil, that will hold more water. and reduce erosion issues. We will mulch back somewhere behind me, and the garlic is all mulched with straw and hay to help keep weeds down, but also help with erosion control as well. And so the water filtration kind of helps us aim a little bit more, so I could observe erosion issues or compaction, and then that gives us like real sturdy numbers to work off of as well to combine with our observation. And so that's just one of the studies we do. I have a penetrometer that tells us like how deep that penetration is able to go, how deep our like organic matter really is before we hit a hard pan or clay spot. Again, when I look at it through a more holistic mindset, which is more in line with an indigenous mindset of like, this is an ecosystem and all these components are impacting this one thing, and really try to decide what is meaningful or what isn't.
Climate change being just less predictable, and so sometimes it's hotter for longer, sometimes like we've had this mild winter.
Yeah,
I think overall, no snow. Yeah. I would say overall, I feel like our soil temperatures are staying a little bit higher for a little bit longer. It's kind of how we, like a place-based sort of way for us to track it, and that's how like speaks most to the plants and stuff. I think our practices, you know, that kind of speaks to our ancestral practices and how they're so earthbound and like kind of there's so much about them that is timeless that we just kind of reach back to that. Like all of those things work and have worked for hundreds and hundreds of years, thousands of years. So we don't have to like reinvent the wheel or think of anything new.
But it all like depends on your observation and how close you are to your environment, and like you know, being responsive and being curious, which is a big thing with you. Like how are you curious about what's going on?
Definitely observation, curiosity. Even yesterday we did a farm walk, and there was like, you know, we have the crop plan and the list of things to do, but I was like, we have to come here, and our partner in this is the planet and is the earth, and so, you know, we pull back things and put our hands in, and how moist is it, and that guides, you know, we have numbers on the screen that are going to tell us, you know, what we're supposed to do, but really it's what's going on out here.
I think one of the detriments of us not having a real discussion about history and establishing a common knowledge base about how people got to this country or why does a disservice to everybody. If you don't understand that the Africans who came here were skilled agriculturalists who were brought here to South Carolina specifically to farm rice, and how the amount of landscape engineering that they had to do, the amount of like high agricultural knowledge they had to have about that environment back home versus this environment, and how they then transformed the lowland in South Carolina to farm not just rice, but also like catfish, and like how they created these ecosystems to mirror the ecosystems back home.
So that's the part that's left out of the conversation.
Yeah.
I think too. It's like part. It's always centered on our labor, and not centered on our knowledge and like what sorts of practices we brought to in those conditions, to places that were not familiar and were not. Yeah, I mean that's what we were talking about before the camera started rolling. It's like, how do people have these conversations without talking about Black people?
That constantly irritates me that regenerative farming is considered this like new, great, brilliant thing that we've developed, discovered, invented. And all of the concepts that make it up are indigenous knowledge from across the world. It's global indigenous knowledge that's been stolen and removed from its roots and removed from the original observers and like historians who've like tracked this from those communities. that's the like hardest tension that I constantly run into. And then this idea that like, oh, this is all new, like you're just now clicking to it. And I go, no, I was taught these things. Like, it's so funny. When my grandma first visited the farm years ago, and I was talking about like, oh, I have these like aphid problems. She was like, more marigolds. You need more marigolds. You need more flowers planted in here. And then later in like a class, they're like, that's called integrative pest management, IPM. And it goes this way. And I was like, oh, that's the marigolds. That's what I was taught. I was always taught that. People were always taught that, always knew this. We just didn't feel the need to like own the concepts, like own the knowledge and create these gates that keep people out or determine who is valuable, whose voice is heard, who has like power and control. What it really truly looks like to recognize Indigenous contributions to soil health is like naming, giving credit to our communities. Like, I think that's the first part, visibility and that honor, and not erasing us or deleting us from our contributions, right? And then letting Indigenous communities lead on that research and education front as well, really putting us forward in that format as worthy voices and leaders that contribute meaningfully to these conversations.
A thing that is going to take hundreds of years to repair the damage that we've done to the earth, and we have to be intentional about it, and we can't feel powerless, but we have to also know that good things have to be modeled and proven for other people to adapt. You know, we have all these things that are like proof of concept, like, hey, you can do this also, right? In hopes that people will come, they'll look at it, they'll learn from it, and they'll adapt it and apply it to their own situation.
And I would say too, for Black, Indigenous, and other farmers of color, look to your grandparents and great-grandparents and great-great-great, like they practices that come from us from a long time.
Proven.
Yeah, proven. And also not time-bound again, and not even place-bound. Like, adapt them to what you're doing, but the foundation, like the foundations are there, and it's not new stuff. Like, we have it already. We just have to remind ourselves.
For our policymakers and advocates, I always promote funding farmers, supporting all your farmers, and making sure that funding, these policies, these things we create address all of our community, not just like the bigger players or this particular type or this modern day concept of what a farmer is. I want to keep like farmer as like a broad category and support all sizing of farming and all approaches to farming. But ultimately, everybody in our state, in our communities, in our cities, in society deserve fresh local food. And so to make that possible without that barrier of cost, we need to start supporting farmers in these variety of ways. The disaster resiliency grant is really important because we're going to continue to have really chaotic climate impacts, and the speed at which farmers need to adapt and pivot and adjust to those impacts. And not knowing every year, like not every year did we experience a heat dome, but now every year we could. And so it's preparing for that heat dome event. Every year we don't have snow in April, but we could. And that is, you know, I'm constantly mitigating risks that are possible, that we've seen happen, and we just don't know when they're gonna happen again. And so I have to, as a farmer, and to be able to consistently continue to grow vegetables for my community, I have to basically stockpile and prepare for all of the possible could-be's. Because that could devastate the farm and just kill us for a season. And we can't survive that. We can't financially carry that level of risk. And for specialty crop farms like mine that are small, we're often overlooked by the USDA and by insurance companies and by the various programs that are supposed to help us mitigate these risks. So we have to create them at a more local scale in the state, county, and prioritize our farmers and prioritize this work.
You can check out the website. There's some stuff there that'll, we have a donation page. You can donate money.
Blackfutures.farm.
.farm, yes.
Blackfutures.farm.
And there's check out the drop downs, because again, we have that guided tour of the farm, which is super cool, and it has you can plug into different spots and find out more about what's going on.